Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Doctor Who and Autism series. Today, I'm joined with Scott. Today we're going to be speaking about autism, Doctor Who. It's going to be a really fun conversation. So, Scott, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice because you've never done this before. So, first thing for you.
It is the first time doing any sort of thing like this. I haven't even done any sort of live videos or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be really good fun. Would you mind, Scott, just doing a little intro of yourself? Just saying a bit about yourself.
My name is Scott Stevens. I'm 18. Anyone, in case you're wondering, my character on TikTok is an OC doctor. I mainly just do the other audios simply because I love Doctor Who all in its entirety.
Yeah, you can't help yourself.
No.
Yeah. So shall we start off with do you want to share about because you said to me that you're kind of in the process of trying to get a diagnosis for autism.
I am currently, yes. I'm getting a diagnosis. Honestly, I'm just waiting to hear back from my GP and things, and it's sort of just at a standstill right now. I was mainly pushed to do it by my sister. She sort of saw a lot of things and said maybe you should just go to a doctor's and get it checked out. So I'm just waiting to hear back for any sort of information really.
Do you see anything yourself?
I do occasionally, yeah, I do quite often see a few things that I think could be related to it. But there are many times where I think to myself that it could just be a natural thing. I don't know. I guess I kind of find it a bit hard to describe.
Yeah,
It's sort of,
yeah.
I just kind of, I guess, I don't know. I prefer to go somewhere someone who knows what they're talking about can go to me. You either are or aren't, sort of.
Of course. Yeah, it's always best to kind of get it double checked.
Mm.
But yeah, but it's very hard to get diagnosed with anything, isn't it? So it does take a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was diagnosed when I was 9. I'm now, how old am I now? I'm 20. um, well, yeah, I'm 20. So yeah, so lot. I think with Doctor Who, Scott, it's quite of it kind of in the kind of autism kind of community. Because I find quite a lot of people who like Doctor Who, not everyone, but I have autistic or have autism too, and I find that quite interesting.
Honestly, I think one of the main things that Doctor Who speaks to a lot of people is it is as in the show, as a lot of the companions do, it is the escape from reality. It's being able to run away and do anything in a way. I like go anywhere, see anything, and I think that's just something that everyone wants to be able to do.
Yeah, shame it's not real, like everything that
Oh
happens
yeah.
in Doctor Who.
Oh, I wish it was real.
Yeah, it would be lovely, wouldn't it?
That would be a world that I would love to live in, but unfortunately, not ours.
No, not yet. Anyway.
Well, that will be the day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Doctor Who does raise a lot of awareness though, like the show within different things. I've had people speak to me about the doctor showing kind of signs of being autistic. Of course, that's not going to happen in the show, but um, you see different things like for autism, like in a way you are if you really like one thing, like Doctor Who, for example, you probably can't stop speaking about it. I bet.
Mm.
And even if
Yeah.
even you're having a friend that maybe doesn't like it as much as you do, you're still going about it.
Yep, I talk about Doctor Who religiously to the rest of my family, and unfortunately, none of them are as big a fan as me, and I end up just rambling and going off in a tangent more just kind of talking to myself and getting it out of my system more than being able to actually have a conversation with someone. So it's nice to be able to switch that up now and be able to talk to someone who's as big a fan as me.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm always talking about it. Like I kind of hence why I decided to do a series about Doctor and autism.
I'm
Um,
glad you did.
yeah, because the podcast it's kind of related to hobbies as well. So people kind of come in here, we have a conversation. It might be about autism, might be about something else. And then my blue box is always mentioned in the background, so I thought, why not do something like that? But so with Doctor Who, when did you kind of start watching it?
Oh, I've been watching it since the revival because my dad was a fan of classic. So when I was born in 2004, when I was a baby, my dad was watching classic stories. So I don't remember what my first story was. And since Rose, it's been me, my dad, and my sister used to watch it up until David Tennant. And then I just sort of really continued on from there.
Yeah, yeah. And you said before that your doctor is Matt Smith. Um,
It's a
yeah,
sort of like
yeah,
take on sort of Matt Smith, yeah, with the bow tie mainly. But I would try and be like more my own doctor. I mainly took like the inspiration for my outfit from some of them. Like for example, obviously I have Matt Smith's bow tie. I have a small like pocket watch
oh,
that I do more like again Matt Smith's second outfit. I do have like a cream sort of coat that I was gonna do as sort of like the sort of nod towards David, but
yeah,
it just doesn't really work with the rest of it, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. It's hard.
Mm.
Yeah, it's hard getting Doctor Who clothes.
Yes, it definitely is. And honestly, I see so many TikTokers that have like the tweed jackets and things, and I'm so jealous.
Yeah, yeah. Like I I kind of started doing like TikTok and cosplaying and stuff like that when it was 2020. Um, like I think like most people. And, like you found out about the app and like for straight away I had nothing.
Mm.
I didn't have any of the clothes, and then I reckon um like the 10th Doctor blue suit, I had similar clothes what he wore, so I just picked that out. It weren't actually the original things that he actually wore. It's just things that look quite similar. Um, so that's what I would do to save money.
Honestly, I was gonna do something similar because I do actually have a blue sort of version of this suit, but I don't have like a tie that I feel is close enough to his, or even a white shirt. Most of my shirts are just white, so I don't have any like blues or browns or darker ones. But yeah,
Yeah,
I am truly envious to the people that have these beautiful, beautiful renditions of the outfits from 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, like with the velvet coats and, like I said, the tweed jackets. And it's just beautiful. I'm very, very jealous of a lot of these people.
yeah, yeah. Like I think 9 is probably the easiest one out of the lot.
Yeah, I did attempt to do a version of him as well because I had a leather jacket and like a green sort of jumper and some jeans, but the jacket wasn't quite like his, so it always sort of bugged me, like because it just didn't look right.
Yeah, I have his lilac t-shirt. Um, I do, but um, I don't have the leather jacket anymore. Um, but I do have the 10th Doctor's. Well, you probably know I have the 10th Doctor stuff. So
Mm.
I mainly do him, but I do have 11th Doctor kind of things that look like him and stuff. Um, I've never really done the 12th Doctor. That's probably an easiest one to do as well. But um, I guess it comes with autism, like you like to do the same doctor or like the same kind of thing that you used to.
Mm. I did attempt a 12th Doctor a long time ago. I only did like one video of his, but I had a really nice like long red coat that I had. It wasn't velvety, but it was close enough. And I just wanted to do like an audio coat, one of his audio clips. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think the only one I've done of him was I didn't wear his clothes or anything that he wore. I just went to a forest. So I did the scene where he was destroying all the Cybermen with his sonic screwdriver.
Oh yeah, good scene.
Yeah, yeah, I did that, and it hurt my knees when I was on the floor. um, but yeah, it's good fun, like doing this, like you taking off characters and like yourself, you kind of make them your own.
Mm.
Yeah. So within Doctor Who, do you have any like episodes that you'd say if I if I had that like the best one you've watched? I know it's a very hard question, but like is there any out there that you would like say that's my favorite? There might be more than one.
Yeah, there is. Honestly, it is. It's so hard to just pick
Yeah.
one because I feel like there are so many standout episodes. Like in series one alone, like you have, for example, the Doctor dances and
Mm.
what part two to that? Uh,
The Big Bang. Was it?
I'm not 100% sure. That's actually going to bug me
No,
now.
no, it's not. I'm thinking of Mass. No, the dances. Isn't it World War III or something?
No, because that's Boomtown and World War Three. Uh,
It's it's the mummy episodes, isn't it?
yeah, you know, the Empty Child.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Those ones.
Empty Child. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant stories. Love those as well. But as like the Big Bang, I love that story alone itself. I love Matt Smith's speech at the Pandorica Opens. It's phenomenal speech in my opinion. Um,
That episode, not the you know when not the Pandorica one. I think it was the one after that. Was
yeah,
a bit complicated, wasn't it? When watching it because you got Amy in the Pandorica, and then I think at one point the little Amy's in the Pandorica, like sitting in the chair. So it was a very complicated episode.
very complicated. I completely agree with that. But I actually would say, which one would be the most complicated?
I
Not actually sure.
I would say I always get confused with Hellbent and Heaven Sent. Um, um,
Yes,
I always
I
get
did.
confused with the two, and then I'm talking about one, and another person talking about the others, and that sounds exactly the same.
Yeah,
Um,
I get those mixed up the
yeah,
wrong way around every seance.
yeah. But you know the one where it's in it, the one after the Clara is taken from the Raven. Um,
Yes.
People say to me, that's one of my favorite episodes, but I'm the opposite. That I didn't like the episode at all.
Oh, okay.
That's only because um it makes me really dizzy watching it. Like it's going in circles. And it's the same for like the Christmas, like the not the New Year's one we just had with the Daleks. Remember, like going around in circles. Um, it's kind of similar for me when that like they could do that. It's Doctor Who. You could do that in a short amount of time. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
um,
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the last special. I just felt it was very underutilized for the situation it was given, and some things just weren't explained to the best ability, in my opinion. For example, I feel the time loop. There was one throwaway line where it was like, "Oh, the TARDIS is what caused the time loop." But if that's true, how do the Daleks get in? How are they
How did it
allowed?
get there? How were they in the first place?
Yeah, it's just things like that where it's like I understand that with Doctor Who, there is a lot of points that, like, even in like Rusty Davis and Stephen Moffat's era, there's lots of things that just don't make sense and things that don't quite like add up towards the final story. And
Yeah,
I like the stories that really pay off everything that they've given. It's one of the reasons that one of my most controversial in my own head episodes is Listen, simply because I adore the premise from start to nearly the finish. But as soon as they take the twist and they try and make it so that it was Clara under the bed that gave the Doctor the fear, that to me was a bad ending. I didn't like the ending. I really loved the setup and I loved the idea of a creature that is born and evolved to hide so that it can never be seen. But the thing that really confuses me more about that episode is the fact that we did see a creature that was supposed to represent this idea on the bed of like Danny, and we blatantly see that there's a creature under the cover, and then when the cover's removed, there is very obviously some kind of creature that's not human, and then it just disappears, and then we never hear from it again, and it's not brought up. It's not the ultimate villain of the story, and I just think, so are they just letting that run around? Like they just letting that traumatize all the other kids? And
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love the episode though.
yeah. Like I remember when they all got up and they all had to turn around, didn't they? Um,
Mm,
I think it was a little kid. It was little Danny, wasn't it? Um,
mm,
and that they said, "Don't look, don't turn around," and like you say, it didn't really make much sense towards the end. Um, it kind of gives me the girl in the fireplace vibes, other than like the kind of under the bed. Um, but I did like it, but like you say, it didn't make much sense that like, Clara was under the bed.
I
Um,
just feel there could have been a different direction. Maybe not a better one. Maybe it could have ended up being even worse. But I feel there was a different direction. And it felt very much to me like two separate stories sort of pushed together in a way. Like they didn't quite match up properly.
yeah, yeah, I I agree. Um, but yeah, I don't like those kind of those episodes that are just they go in circles.
Mm. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Like it's always better to have a story that has continuous progression until the end, where it's a climax of like stakes and what's going on. And like I say, I like it when, for example, it's just more the entire story's been utilized, like the beginning to the end. There's no scenes that are sort of like loose ends in a way.
Hmm, yeah, definitely. Um, do you have a series out there that you would say that kind of I mean, is your favorite? Like, I know it's hard, but like, is there a series out there that you would kind of say that is kind of the best out of New Who, or like a couple?
I wouldn't say there's one series that stands above all because I feel that obviously with a series it's many episodes, so there could be the really good ones in one series, but they've also equally with the really bad ones. For example, I am actually a really big fan of Series 7B, and I know that's an unpopular opinion for many Huvians, but I actually prefer Series 7B over 7A. I feel 7A was slow and boring, and honestly, I feel that Amy and Rory should have left a lot earlier than they did. In my opinion, I would have had their exit at either the God Complex or Closing Time if you wanted, because I feel the God Complex closes their characters perfectly. And as the Doctor states in that episode to Amy, maybe there's a bigger, scarier adventure for you in there. It's the one thing that she's been running away from since the beginning of her series. Like back in series 5, she was always running away from her like responsibilities and things. So I feel that her going and choosing to stay with Rory would have been a much more satisfying ending than killing them off. Because it also would have allowed them to return in a future episode, if it be a cameo or an important role. And I just feel that, and again, like I say, you could still have the cameo in Closing Time where the Doctor sees them and sees that they're getting on with their lives, but that should have been it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And I just feel that Series 7A was a bit wasted on Amy and Rory. Although there's some good episodes in there and very good character development, I feel it could have been better utilized for flushing out Clara and Eleven and getting their sort of dynamic a bit better and sort of seeing how like you could have the Impossible Girl story develop over a couple more episodes, because I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like that because it feels rushed. Personally, I disagree, but that's just my opinion. Everyone can obviously have their own. And like I say, I just feel that splitting the two series was a strange choice, in my opinion.
yeah. We've never really done that before.
No, not since either.
No, well, maybe they think it didn't work out. Um, but yeah, like I did. Um, was the Was that the series when you had the Flesh episodes as well? Series.
No, the Flesh episodes was series 6, just before that.
Oh,
Series
okay.
7A is so Asylum of the Daleks, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, A Town Called Mercy, and then I think it's A Power of Three.
Okay, yeah, I remember. So,
Those sort of ones.
and they were all in the same year, wasn't they?
Yeah,
They just split. Um,
and I think it actually they were over 2 years because it was like the 2012 was Series 7A, and
oh
then they
yeah,
had the
yeah,
Christmas special that split the two of them. And then they had Series 7B in the beginning of 2013, leading up to the 50th anniversary.
yeah. That was I get what you mean about like Amy and Rory maybe leaving a bit earlier because um may leave more time for Clara and the 11th Doctor together. But in a way, they did have quite a lot of episodes, even though she wasn't a companion all the time, but she kept dying. Um,
Yeah,
didn't she?
I must agree. I definitely think that maybe, for example, like in Peter Capaldi's era, she could have left a bit earlier and we could have had a bit more time with another companion. For example, Bill. I really love Bill's character, but again, I just feel like it's another companion that we should have seen more for before getting rid of them so that we could feel more attached to them. And I do understand that it's not obviously like the writers and like so Stephen Moffat. I know it's not entirely his choice because at that time he was leaving, Peter Capaldi was leaving with him, and then obviously Chris Chibnall was taking over. So he couldn't. And Chris wanted to start over with a fresh slate, I think. So he didn't want to take on any companions from the old series. So they kind of had only one series with Bill.
I was a bit gutted about that because I think Bill would have been good with the 30th Doctor.
I think she would have been brilliant, and the representation would have been amazing. Honestly.
Yeah, a bit of competition with Yaz, maybe.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like you've got Rose. How many series did she do? She's done two, but
Mm.
then she came back. Um, didn't she? And then she was even in the 50th. Donna did about a series. I think Martha did about a series. Um,
Yeah, I must admit, I liked Russell T Davis' era a bit more, just simply for that sort of companion aspect. Like he always sort of like only had so many people for one series. For example, like series one, obviously you only had Eccleston and Rose, and then obviously it was changed to David and Rose, and then obviously Rose was gone, so it was Martha, then another companion. Especially my favorite thing is obviously how it all culminates in series 4, where we have
yeah.
Journey's End and the Stolen Earth, and you see all the companions, and I think that is just truly an iconic scene for New Who. I think that is a scene that is burnt into the memories of a lot of hardcore fans because it's just so lovely in my opinion. Like it's such a nice moment in such a dark episode.
Yeah, and I love those episodes. I remember watching it, and it was like they were the best episodes, and especially after Turn Left, you got that lovely trailer. But
Mm.
haven't you?
Yeah, I remember being a child and screaming at that trailer, simply seeing everyone that's coming back and even seeing the new Daleks. Like that Dalek Supreme is my favorite design. I adore the red and gold Supreme. It is beautiful.
What about the one in the Victory of the Daleks?
I am actually one of like I don't mind the paradigm designs. I definitely can agree with a lot of people that they are very big. They are very space sort of bumper cars in a way, just because of like the large base. But in the same way, I look at it and I think it does sort of call back to classic Who because obviously they used to have the big bumpers. But in the same way, I think the thing that really just people didn't like about them is that one, I don't think the paradigm Daleks were utilized enough, and I definitely think they should have gone with more sort of darker colors than the bright sort of colors that they went with. I completely agree with their change when they went to more of like the metallic blue and the metallic red in Series 7A. But I think one of the other things that really, really was the problem for Victory of the Daleks was the set. The fact that the set for the Dalek ship was so small, it kind of made the Daleks look even bigger than they should do. because when I watched that episode, unfortunately, the only thing I can look at now is when the Supreme comes out and is having its face to face with the 11th Doctor. It's so close to the roof that it looks like it's about to be scraping along the roof, and there's just going to be trails from the ears. I just think there was a couple things that they could have maybe tweaked and taken a bit more consideration in. And even like I say, I feel like they should have come back. They never really posed a threat, because in Victory of the Daleks, they kind of come out, turn Bracewell into a bomb, and then disappear. That is it.
Yeah.
I just feel like there should have been like a more intimidating episode where we watch them, I don't know, kill a ship full of people or invade Earth or just do something. Because the next time we see them is they turn up in the Pandorica Opens, and the first thing they do is they roll up and they don't kill anyone. That's it. And then the next episode is a stone Dalek that doesn't really kill anybody. Like, kills the Doctor, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing with the Daleks is like they're never going to go away. So I think they're always going to be new designs. But I would like to see like a gold Dalek like that, like or something. I want to see like maybe some older designs. It'd be nice.
I saw a video on YouTube. So to whoever this was, I do give you credit. I just really can't remember their name. But they had an idea about like to make the Daleks more intimidating and make them a bit scarier. And because I feel like that's one of the things that the Daleks lack now. Because, for example, if you go back to series one and you watch Dalek, that is one Dalek that takes out a base full of people. And that was what always was the scariest factor, in my opinion, is the fact that one Dalek is enough to wipe out a planet. So that when you see them in these massive hordes and swarms of Daleks, and you think, oh my God, how is anyone going to be able to stop that or survive against that? And then they just kind of do, or the Daleks don't see them.
Yeah.
This person that I saw had an idea to sort of make it so that there is 5 Daleks left in existence, much like the Cult of Skaro, but in the way that each Dalek would be to a different sort of thing, much again like the Paradigm Daleks, how you had the Scientist, the Supreme, the Drone, the Eternal, and I can't remember the last one. But it was like making the Dalek of War and the Super. I can't remember them exactly, but it was very much like in each story that we'd see a Dalek, it would be one Dalek, and anytime that one of those Daleks was defeated, it would feel more like a victory because there is only 5 left in existence. So every time you do beat one, it is like a serious thing, and every time one shows up, you know that it's something to take seriously, and that this is a situation that's really going to need like some patience and like some real thought, and like to try and save everyone. Because I don't know, I'll try and find the video at some point and send it to you if you're interested.
Yeah, that would be great. But it's like that they like doing like a few Daleks, don't they? Like they've done that in quite a lot of episodes. Like you've got the Daleks in Manhattan, that only had a few, and like the two-parter as well, where like at the end, like the humans were not wanting to, and then they killed all the humans because they weren't obeying a simple, like not simple, but they just didn't want to do what they were asked to do. So it's that kind of stuff. But I do think as well that because they have a contract, the Daleks, so they have to be in every series, which I thought is very clever. When Bill, I think it might have been, the pilot episode with Bill, where you saw a glimpse of a Dalek, like only for a second or so, and then that's it. That's all they had to have for that series. They just have to include it like that or something. But I would love to see new monsters.
No, I do completely agree, and I completely agree with you on that point as well. That the Daleks should, although I love them, because you can't not love the Daleks, but I do feel very much that they are such a regular villain and so overly utilized that it's lost the factor of going, for example, oh my God, it's a Dalek, to more, oh, it's a Dalek. So every time they sort of show up, it's like, it's going to be a Dalek story more than, oh my gosh, it's going to be a Dalek story. So I definitely agree that they should have been sort of maybe reduced to a cameo sort of every season or so, or maybe even, if possible, go a season without, because simply because then when they do arrive, people will be like, oh, I haven't seen them in a while. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Definitely agree with you though that we do need some sort of new redesign,
they do. Like,
because I have actually been. That's the one thing I will say I have loved about Chibnall's sort of era is I am really liking his redesigns for some of the classic monsters. Like I loved what he did with the Sontarans. I really actually did enjoy the scrappy look of the Recon Dalek. And even in the next story after that, with Revolution of the Daleks, I think it is,
yeah,
how they base their design off the scrap Daleks. So it makes sense why it looks like that, and obviously allows you to distinguish between the two factions of Daleks.
yeah. I do like yeah, I do like the way it's on. I do like the Sontarans. Because it's the first time since David Tennant we saw them. Like I know we saw them with Matt Smith, but I don't think that really counts. Like, but that's standing at the Pandorica. They wasn't really doing anything. But I did like that they did include General Stoll in that Pandorica. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
I do, although I love Strax and I love Dan Starkey, I do kind of wish they hadn't gone so far into the comedic sort of side of him. Like I really wish we had seen like him use his strategic mind and like use all the wars that he fights that he's been in to like some kind of advantage rather than being the butt of every joke. Don't get me wrong, I love the comedy, and one of my absolute favorite jokes comes from uh the Christmas special with I can't remember which one it's called. Can't remember the name of it, but one of my favorite jokes is when Clara's found the doctor, and the doctor's trying to get Strax to go and get the memory worm. He keeps forgetting because he keeps touching it and keeps forgetting to put the gloves on. And then he ends up underneath it and he touches it and forgets and goes, "Sir, I think I've been run over by a cab." One of my favorite jokes. But I feel like it should be stuff like that, where it's every once in a while, sort of like more than every 5 minutes, he's making some kind of wisecrack.
yeah, yeah. I get what you mean. Right. But yeah, again, I would like to see an alien companion actually traveling with the Doctor.
100%. Completely agree. Would love to see more diversity on the TARDIS team. Like, I would love to see, I don't know, Madame Vastra come along permanently, like actually on the TARDIS for some kind of trip. Whether it's, even if it's not her and it's just another Silurian, or I don't know, anything. Like I say, I would love to just see a bit more like representation of like the Doctor Who universe in like the Doctor's sort of world. So, like you say, bringing in like an alien companion. I'd love to see, honestly, them bring back like a canine sort of thing. Like I'd love some sort of like little companion like that, whether it would be a canine Mark 6 now, I think it would be, or even something brand new. Maybe the Doctor goes to some sort of old market shop and sees something and goes, "Oh, I haven't seen one of these in ages," and then like starts working on it or something. I love the ideas of like a more sort of like diverse sort of TARDIS team. But at the same time, I feel like it gets more difficult the bigger you make the TARDIS team, because although obviously you're going to have a lot more characters, but it also means that you're going to have these characters all interact with each other, have them all have their own sort of opinions and on situations and like what others do. And it's one of the reasons that I feel I'm not a fan of Chibnall's writing is because I do personally feel a lot of his characters are quite bland, and I don't feel like they interact with each other, or well, obviously they interact with each other, but I feel like they don't actually like sort of, I don't know how to describe it, losing the words.
Like they don't engage you like into them like the way they are.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just feel, for example, like taking Rusty Davis era, for example, like although he did only have like one companion, so it was a lot easier for him. But for example, when he had um, like the time to develop them, all the companions through all the previous series, so when he brought them all together, you already knew who all these characters were. You saw how like they interacted with each other. It's one of the things that I feel like Chibnall could have maybe done, each episode, like split the gang into these different dynamics. So maybe in like one episode, it's the Doctor and Graham go off, and then Ryan and Yaz, or the Doctor and Yaz, or the Doctor and Ryan, then Graham and Yaz. Or I feel like they should have just sort of like had the characters sort of talk to each other and interact with each other, so we could see more how they're feeling and how they're reacting to the situations they've been put in. Because I feel, for example, like the second episode of Jodie's Era, when they first crash on the alien planet, and the Doctor turns to them and goes, "Welcome to what I believe is your first alien planet," and not one of them is like freaking out over the two suns or the fact that they're stranded, or they're just kind of wandering around this planet, which is, it to me just felt too casual. It felt more like if real people were in that situation, they'd be going, "Okay, but how do we get home?"
Yeah, it's something that is very interesting. Like I'd like to see like with K9, I'd love to see him in the. I think he's got a high chance of going in the Joe's last episode, um, because I think that might happen. I'd love it to happen. Like it'd be really nice with like 13 and K9. Um, but on the other note, I'd love to see the Silurians in the Shooty Gatwas series, because I think they would be so good. With him, like, of course, I reckon they'll possibly be redesigned if that was the case. But I think they'll be, because they are quite funny. Like with Matt, they were a bit jokey in a way. So I think that I don't know what kind of Doctor Shoot is going to be, but I imagine they could have that jokey side to him, which would be nice.
I am very excited to see Shooty Gatwa's like, oh, wrong one. His interpretation of the Doctor and things. I loved him in Sex Education. Like, I know that everyone says that, but I truly loved Eric's character, and I feel like the compassion that Eric had, and just seeing Shooty's like range on Sex Education was just fabulous, truly amazing. Especially like all the scenes that he does have to like switch in the middle of the scene to like something else. Like, for example, the scene in Sex Education where Eric and I haven't watched it in a while, so I do apologize. But Eric and the bully, Adam, that's it,
Adam,
Adam, yeah, where they're like sorting stuff out. They're both been held back at school, and they're having to sort some things out. And the scene like where Eric has to go from being upset that he's doing all the work himself, then all of a sudden upset that he's trying to get involved, then all of a sudden really confused because of what's just going on, and like the anger of the moment. I love that he's able to portray such a wide range in like such a short burst, and it truly it makes me excited for next year.
So it's very exciting with Shooty. I think it's gonna be great. But what your thoughts? Are you looking forward to like Jodie's last kind of episode?
I am very much looking forward to it, because I'm hoping that I just want it to do her justice. Is all I want. I just want it to be able to be a nice ending. Like, obviously it's not going to be nice because she's going to regenerate, but I'm just hoping that even if it's not, even if it is an absolutely terrible episode, all I can hope is that Jodie's able to walk away and go, "I don't care, because I was the Doctor for 6 years."
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Truly, that is all any of us ever really want. Any Whovian, if you're going to tell me that you wouldn't want to be able to go, "I was on Doctor Who," even in a small role.
Yeah, yeah. Like so for her episode, we know the Cybermen are there. We know the Daleks are there. We know the Master is there. Of course, we know the Doctor's there. We know Ace is there. We know Tegan's there. We know Kate Stewart is there. We know Unit's going to be there. So that's 7 on the top of my head. Oh yeah, we got the lone Cyberman. The lone Cyberman is there. That's at 8.
Graham was supposed to be coming back as well,
Yeah.
wasn't he? I think he's
Oh,
been seen in like some shooting areas. I think there was a
yeah.
picture taken of him like on set.
Yeah. So that's like a Graham Turles, and might as well add Ryan Turles because I reckon he'll probably turn up. So that's 10. Of course, Dan and Yaz are going to be there. Probably that girl that Dan is talking to. She'll probably be there.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think Diane will show up at the end, but
yeah.
even that like very much confused me because I feel like at the end of Flux there was that whole thing where she sort of said to Dan that she's not really ready for whatever it was they were going to go into. But then at the end of the next episode, she's calling him and going, "Oh, I think we got it wrong." You think, "No, you got it wrong."
Yeah, yeah. We also got Vinda. He's going to be there.
Mm. I must admit, I did actually really like his character in Flux, although it does make me wonder. Oh, voice crack. If he's going to turn up, does that mean that his wife will turn up? Has she had her baby, maybe? Or is she still going to be pregnant? Or maybe she'll have to stay away because she's
Mm.
pregnant, which, even to me, that just means that if Vinder's coming away from his pregnant wife to try and save the universe, it's going to have to be some sort of like real threat.
Yeah, because we don't actually know what the threat is. Like,
No.
it's all well and good, a bit like you got Dodds, you got the Cyberman, you've got the lone Cyberman, you've got the Master, who are all kind of dead, aren't they?
Yeah, I must admit, when I saw Ashad in the trailer, I very much thought, but he was shrunk and then obliterated on Gallifrey because he
Yeah,
was still mostly organic. So all of the death particle would have still pretty much wiped out most of him.
I wouldn't be surprised if that man who pressed the button is gonna be there. No,
Mm. Yeah,
uh,
honestly, I really do think there's going to be like, I just hope it's a good enough explanation from like everyone surviving because I feel Doctor Who is very much getting to a place where it's sort of like, for example, like with the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Master, they are the most iconic characters, like or villains for the show. So to finally put them in the ground would be a massive mistake. It would be a waste of opportunity for future storytelling. That's why I feel they're always constantly brought back. But in the same way, I just feel it needs a good explanation for why they're able to come back. Because, for example, like if you take um, like the Master, and you have him like in series 3, where he's revealed to be Derek Jacobi's like Master, and then he opens the watch and becomes the true Master, and then regenerates in the TARDIS. I just feel that like that's a good way to do it because then they've explained in the episode they say that he was used as a weapon during the Time War, and then eventually, once he decided he didn't want to be that anymore, he hid himself away at the end of the universe, and it was such a good disguise that he actually completely forgot who he was. I feel like that is a good way to bridge the gap between the old Who and the new Who, and to bring the character back. Whereas something like the Daleks and the Cybermen, they are a fleet of things, so it's usually just more, oh, there just was another faction that we didn't kill, and they've sort of like rebuilt, and you think, oh, okay, so it's not really like I feel it very much diminishes the victories previously.
yeah.
I feel one of my favorite things though is actually, and it was a small detail that I missed in Stolen Earth and Journey's End, at the very end when all the Dalek ships are being blown up, if you look carefully, there is actually one Dalek ship that does fly away and it doesn't blow up at all. And that is supposedly the Dalek ship that is in Victory of the Daleks. So I love like subtle little nods like that where they give little explanations that why they might still be in the next episode or why they could still be around. Sort of like a teaser or an end credits sort of scene, just to go, they're not really dead, they're just damaged for a while.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So things that we don't know that haven't been resolved, um, with Jodie's season. So we've got the timeless child storyline that hasn't been resolved. We don't know who the future Doctor is. We don't know who Joe Martin Doctor is. Um, we don't know. We don't really know who Vinda is as well. So we don't really know who he is really, and the girl and the kid, who the kid is going to be in the future. We don't know who that is either. And we don't know what's in the watch. So there's so much that hopefully is told in this episode.
I really hope so, because one of the things that I found the most disappointing about Flux was, I understand for her character that she's choosing to not let her past define her, but I just feel we've had that story for the Doctor so many times over, to the point where it's like, but we already know that you're not gonna like let the past, whatever it is, affect who you are now. And I just feel that Chibnall doesn't know what's in the watch himself. I just feel like that we're not going to get the payoff we want, because no matter what he chose, whatever he chose to put in the watch, it's going to upset a large fandom. Like, it's going to upset a large group of people, and it will split the fandom like it used to, where it will be the people that agree with him and the people that don't agree with him. And I feel like it would just cause an argument in the fandom. Like I say, I feel honestly like, I really kind of hope that it's not brought up at all. I honestly think that would be the better way to go with it, would just be to try and do a nice sort of simple last episode to send Jodie out on a
Mm.
high note, rather than an note.
Maybe what opens in the watch leads to the 60th or something. Um,
That would
but,
be interesting.
like that, all the watches maybe lost memories and memories that haven't happened yet. Maybe that's what's in the watch, because the last time we saw it was with Tennant. Like the watch. So I don't know. That's something like, if it's good thing maybe. But I suppose not. But yeah, if or ever is not resolved, I think either Russell T Davies will kind of resolve it himself, or he won't, or he'll just move on to see Shooty the Gap will just have his own story, and nothing will be taken over from Jodie Whittaker's kind of side. But you never know. But I would like to see some portrayal from companions in this next episode. Like, I don't want I want her to have a good send off, but in a way, I want Yaz. Um, if Yaz portrayed the Doctor, I would like that. Only because it would be a good plot twist. It might not have been the right time, but in a way, it kind of is the right time, because it kind of, all that time she is portrayed, because the Doctor's never really been portrayed in New Who.
I feel like if they were to go that sort of route, and this is just my opinion, I feel like maybe they could do something like that. If I was, just as a quick idea, just straight off my head, I would write it as sort of going off the last episode, obviously Legend of the Sea Devils, at the very end, when the Doctor says that she can't fix herself to anything because one day it will fade away and she'll have to continue. I would very much like it if in this next episode maybe the Master promises Yaz, like, I don't know, eternity or something, or an ability to pause time, or maybe even extend someone's life. So Yaz ends up betraying the Doctor, but the reason that she's doing it is truly because she believes that it will allow her to have more time with the Doctor. And I don't know, plot twist, it might even end up being that the Master steals the Doctor's regeneration energy to pour it into Yaz. Something like that. Like, I don't know. I love the idea of a good plot twist, but it has to be a good twist. Like, it has to be unexpected, but also sort of set up from the beginning, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. Too, because it's going to be interesting whatever happens, because like I would like to see that. I would like to see every person in the episode get. It's going to be that kind of episode. Like, every scene's going to have a different person in it, I reckon. That's the way it's going to be. You know, it's not stuff we're used to. Last, it kind of give you like Journey End kind of vibes, Star on Earth kind of vibes, in a way, with everyone coming back.
Mm.
Which every Doctor has done it in their own way. Like David Tennant done it. Matt Smith went back at the end, kind of memories, and that the same for Peter Capaldi memories, but no one actually came physically back for them. And I think Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is very much like David Tennant's Doctor. They're very similar personalities, and the way they do things. And I think that's the way it's gonna go. Like a kind of a journey end kind of stuff. But the only exception is the Doctor will regenerate in this episode, and not it won't be taking all the companions back, maybe. But I'm very interested to know the cause of the regeneration.
Mm, I am too, but honestly, I think I'm more interested in the reaction of the Doctor. For example, obviously, as we know, David Tennant is coming back, and I cannot wait for that. That is going to be amazing. But I am truly very, very curious about how they're going to play that. Like, is it going to be a sort of regeneration in a way, like a sort of setback to like maybe an old body, maybe the regeneration doesn't quite go right and the next body is damaged or doesn't quite work or isn't ready yet, much like a TARDIS possibly. But I am very curious to see if once, because I think it's going to go Jodie to David to Shooty. But I'm very curious if once David takes the role again, if he's going to look in a mirror and go, I remember this face, or if it's going to be sort of like maybe the same body but a different sort of mind, or I don't know. I'm very excited just to see David back. And even, for example, as well, with like, if it is truly like the 10th persona sort of coming back, then does that mean that, because obviously we know that all the Doctors share the memories. So when meeting Donna, he will fully know everything they went through, but is he going to still react the same way, in my opinion? Like, is he going to embrace her or is he going to avoid her completely? Because we've already seen that they are together, that she will be the companion for the 60th, which is brilliant, in my opinion. Again, truly excited to see Catherine Tate and David Tennant back together. That is just nostalgic as anything for me.
Yeah, it's something that is going to be really good, and like it's yeah, like you say, nothing's confirmed, but like if Shooty's going to be regenerating next, or is it going to be David for a while? Which I do. I know it's like months ago you'd think it's strange. In no way it's going to happen. No way David Tennant's going to Joe's going into David again. But now you kind of think it makes more sense that would be the case because David is going into the like 60th. I imagine there's going to be more people in the 60th, not just them two, but who knows? I think there's a lot behind the scenes that they haven't said.
Yeah, because I heard recently that a lot of the shooting that we've seen was obviously on the open sets, but apparently there's been a lot of shooting on closed sets. So it opens the possibility for old Doctors or old companions, other TARDISes. I'm truly excited at the prospect of seeing someone like Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi, or because we have, I think he was on, I can't remember where it was, but I know that Christopher Eccleston did announce that he had recorded something for the 60th. So he's going to be back in some capacity, whether it be as a cameo or even properly back for a scene, maybe. But I am truly excited
I
for that.
don't, I don't think Chris Eccleston will come back. If anything, it would be audio. I would have thought for Big Finish. I wouldn't have thought he would have come back. But who knows? Um, who knows? If he did come back on screen, I would love it. But I don't think he's a big like admirer of these kind of multi-Doctor stories. Um,
Yeah,
um,
he did say at one point that if he was going to come back, it would have to be just him and it would have to be just right. So there's a lot
yeah.
of things that kind of like contradict each other. So we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see, but it's all interesting. Kind of what I think will happen. That what they'll either depending on who is regenerating. If it's David, they'll go kind of into the 60th with him. If it's Shooty, I kind of feel like maybe he might do depending if it it depends on how the 60th goes. If it's like a really big thing and there's going to be taking the majority of the year up to November, I think that we will get the possibility of most likely Shooty Gatwell's first series will be in 2024. Um,
Yeah,
possibly, maybe December 2023, but I don't think that will happen. I think it's more likely that will be in 2024. Because yeah, that would make more sense. But I feel like this, like it's going to be interesting to see what happens because with a festive special, if they're going straight into the 60th January 1st on the dot, I think it'll be New Year's. If they're not, they could possibly a Christmas episode, but maybe that's a bit too soon. Um, for like recording and stuff. But who knows that that they might have already recorded a festive special for us to watch. But I believe 2023 we'll get towards the end of the year we'll get a Christmas special. Fingers crossed.
I hope so. I always loved the Christmas specials. They truly, to me, made it feel like Christmas. And when they were taken away, I was upset. But when we were given the prospect of a New Year's Day special, I thought, okay, it's only another week after, so I've got to wait till an episode. But I must admit, they never felt like New Year's Day specials to me. Like there was nothing other than the setting and that it was set at New Year's Day. There was not really anything that like affected it until maybe either the Daleks, where you have like um the whole like resolution sort of thing and like having a resolution. But even that to me just felt so surface level for New Year's Day. Like I feel like they really could have used that more in a way.
Do you do you were you bothered about it moving to a Sunday rather than a Saturday, Doctor Who?
Yes, but mainly because every time I watched Doctor Who on a Sunday, the only thing I could think of was David talking to Donna, funnily enough. And when Donna says to him, well, maybe it's a Sunday. And the doctor turns back and goes, no, I don't land on Sundays. Sundays are boring.
Yeah, yeah. He said I like Saturdays, didn't he?
Yeah,
Um, yeah. That's why they need to. I think it has all to do with the schedule. I think like how many people view it. Like I think that's maybe one of the reasons. I'm not sure. It might not be in a reason, but it potentially is. Like maybe the viewers are not watching it as much, which is completely understandable because um even before Jodie, Doctor Who was going a bit like the views weren't being as top, even before
no, yeah.
Jodie was the Doctor. So it wasn't anything on that, but it's going to be interesting. I think views will go up with David in the kind of centre of it all now, um, and Catherine Tate, of course, and whoever possibly comes back as well. So I think they will go up, and like other people say to me, um, they'll watch Doctor Who now because David Tennant's in it, and it's nothing against like now, but it's no one's fault acting wise. I think it's just the people. It's no one's fault really at all, but it's just the way it is now. Like I think maybe on the Saturday, taking the Saturday slot and the Christmas special slot, because it all changed, didn't it? Really, really fast. Like you had the composer, a different composer. You had a different showrunner. You had a different doctor, of course. Different companions, a different everything. So it all really changed very fast, which takes time to get used to. Because of course, before then, we were used to the same kind of thing, week in week out, and then yeah, lots of change. But sometimes change is good, but not all the time.
Yeah, I definitely feel that Chris Chibnall's era felt very much like a sort of soft reboot for the show, for better or for worse. Like that's depending on your opinions and everyone else's opinions.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's something that I very much I haven't been this excited since I was watching it growing up. Doctor Who. Like that hearing all the announcements, of course, and hearing David Tennant come back. At this moment in time, like when I found out, I was actually more excited for Catherine Tate. And David Tennant is kind of my doctor in a way, but only because I haven't seen Captain Tate since series 4, and
Mm,
of course, we saw David in the 50th, so it hasn't been awfully a long time. I know 10 years might be a long time, but it's not really if you think about it. Like considering Captain Tate, it's a bit longer, about 5 or 6 years more than when we saw David. So that that kind of stuff kind of makes you feel like it's all coming back. I reckon they're going to bring out as many old companions or old people back as they can. And I always say this to people I speak to. Now is a good time for Jojo's last episode and the 60th to bring back maybe maybe people, old doctors and cameos. And then when Shooty had his first series, it kind of kicks off as a new kind of fresh start where
mm,
we're kind of imagining his iconic companions, you know? He has his iconic companions that we will remember. Not that we won't remember like any before, but just more that we'll have them going back all the time to older ones.
mm. No, I agree. I definitely agree with your point about, and I feel that a lot of people might be the same about feeling a bit more excited for Catherine Tate than David Tennant, simply because there's also obviously there is still with David's character as well, obviously him being the Doctor again. There's so much mystery around that, but it's also the fact of I feel it's the mystery element of how the Doctor is going to interact with Donna and like um obviously like her memories and things. Will she get them back? Will she not? Will she remember the Doctor? Will she like not? I guess. But I guess it's all those questions for me that really get me involved and ready and excited for the next episode
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the countless questions that they're given. But in the same way, I feel like if you're going to give those questions, it needs to be a satisfying sort of answer. Like, I trust Russell T Davies completely, and I am so excited for the 60th anniversary. I must admit, it does make me feel a bit bad because although I am very excited for Jodie's final episode, sorry. However, I do feel I am more excited for the end of the episode when I can watch the trailer for the 60th.
do
And I do feel bad about that simply because
you think there will be one?
I definitely do. I think there's going to be a really big trailer at the end of the episode.
Oh.
I'm hoping for one at least.
But do you think that will be for the 60th, or do you think it will go straight into the 60th afterwards, after that episode?
I would say it depends on how the episode ends, because obviously, as we know, that Jodie's regeneration is going to be the first to take place out of the TARDIS. I think there's been loads of theories about whether
Yeah,
it's going
yeah,
to
I've
be.
heard that, and I would like to see that.
I am very excited for it because I've heard that
I've
at
heard it
one
on the
point it was going to
rooftop.
be.
I've heard it
Yeah,
on the rooftop.
I've heard a rooftop. I've heard a forest. I've heard a sea at one point. I think was one, or in a
Yeah.
pool.
Who knows?
Yeah, but honestly, I truly think depending on how the episode ends, whether it be that Jodie regenerates into David, whether she regenerates into Shooty, whether she, I don't know, regenerates and the regeneration splits and we get two doctors and like who knows, maybe David Tennant's doctor ends up being an evil doctor or something.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have an evil doctor.
I truly feel that depending on how this episode will end will massively impact the next episode, like the 60th, because obviously depending on how this ends, will we know how the next one sort of starts.
Yeah, yeah. In my, I would like to see it to be the Metacrisis Doctor, even though the Metacrisis Doctor's human, but it but that would be interesting because that could bring forward maybe Rose Tyler coming back. I know we got Yasmin Finney playing Rose, but I believe that is Donna's daughter.
Mm.
Um, um,
I think that's going to be part of like Donna's memories sort of bleeding through. I reckon the reason she called her child Rose is because she remembers like in a parallel universe, Rose saved her, and then all
yeah,
the like the sort of adventures they have with each other. I truly think that it is going to be a lot of like Donna's mind is slowly bleeding through, and it's going to impact her life massively. Like I reckon she'll be sort of walking around doing day-to-day things, and then people will ask her like, "Why have you done it that way?" And it'll be like a reference to a previous episode that she's been in, maybe.
I would love to see some flashbacks.
Mm. That would be awesome. I would love to see like flashbacks or even maybe extended scenes or bits we didn't get to see.
Yeah, yeah, that would be nice. Um, but it, I think because they've called the character Rose, that's not playing like that's playing Donna's daughter. I do think we've got to see Rose Tyler in the 60th, surely, if that's the case.
I I kind of hope so, but in the same way, I kind of don't because I like Rose. I do like her
Yeah,
character, but I don't like how head over heels she is for the Doctor. Like
yeah,
I understand like being in love with someone, but I feel that it was her main driving force. Like that was her own character, was her love for the Doctor, was her character. Like other than that, I feel there are very few moments where she stands out to me. For
mm,
example, I love her in series one with Chris Eccleston because I feel like the love that they have is far different than David and Rose's love. Because I feel David and Rose's love is more sort of fantasy and romantic and the idea of what a relationship could be. Whereas Eccleston and Rose's was more of a they'd love each other in a way, like, but they'd never admit it to each other. Much in the same way as like Capaldi and Clara, like they both love each other. They're not in a relationship, but like they both know that what the lengths that each would go to save the other in a way.
yeah,
Like for example, like I say, a standout character moment for me for Rose is when she becomes the bad wolf at the end of series one. Truly amazing moment. And that was because of her love for the Doctor and because she didn't want to leave him and because like all these different things. And there was something actually driving and pushing her to that to like decide to do it. Whereas, for example, her ending in series two was just that she didn't want to leave the Doctor.
yeah, yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I, if it is the Metachrysler Doctor, I would think that it would make sense to have Rose back. You know, like if that was the case. Um, but if not, I don't think there's I don't think I'd see her coming back. But in a way, if the Doctor, depending on what kind of if it's a good Doctor or a bad Doctor or the 10th Doctor back again, or just the next Doctor along, just with the Doctor's face, the same personality and everything. Um, but I guess we're just gonna get we've got Donna. It's all about it's gonna be or the start of the 60s. It's all gonna be about Donna. I think they got like 3 specials. I don't know what's gonna happen after that. It's very interesting, but I'd say bring as much as you can back, but make it very stand out, which I'm sure Russell will do because he's very good at what he does. Um,
Mm.
it's very exciting.
I must admit, I do like the idea of it being the Meta Crisis Doctor, for example. Like, I like the idea of just him coming back. Honestly, I like that idea. Truly, once David was revealed to be the Doctor of the 60th, instantly my mind was racing, and I thought when I saw the outfit as well, and obviously it's a different outfit from what he wore when he was his 10th persona. So I instantly was assuming that maybe it's an alternate universe Doctor or the Meta Crisis Doctor's broken through or some sort of like universal shenanigans, especially. And I truly thought they were going to go like the alternate universe route, especially with Joe Martin's fugitive Doctor. I honestly thought she was going to be an alternate universe Doctor, especially when towards the end of Flux they showed that the whole point of Division and that everything they were trying to do was move to the next universe. So I was assuming that it was going to be very much in the way of like Marvel is starting to do like incursions between their multiverse. I very much thought it was going to be like a similar sort of thing of like because our universe is trying to breach theirs is sort of like falling down into us. So their doctor's fallen down into our universe and is trying to find their way back, sort of thing.
That's right. That's right. And I do think that could be a thing going forward. Like it'd be nice to have like a kind of not a Marvel kind of thing, but a Marvel kind of way about Doctor Who, where you have like phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do something like that, with Doctor Who. Going to the multiverse, explore different characters, explore what they're doing after they leave. Just so they're involved. Like it'd be good for like Bill, for example, because she was only in it for a very limited amount of time. She had her own little thing, like story for herself going on. Um, Especially characters that are not in it for a long time. Um, Even Martha and Donna, I don't think they were in it a long time. It seemed longer than it was, but
Yeah.
because Donna had a similar experience, I think, to Clara. I think they were very similar in ways. Two different kind of personalities, but like of course, before Donna was actually there for her first full series, you saw her in like a Christmas episode beforehand,
Mm.
and then of course you saw Wilfred um like before as well. So it all kind of led up to that kind of sequence that they did it in. And like we know the story of Clara, who saw her a couple of times. Um, but it's very. I like it when they do that. Like you do that before.
Mm.
Um, and and do you remember We saw Martha actually before she was in it, but she was actually playing a different character in the
Yeah.
Doomsday storyline. And when you're watching Doctor Who at the time and you see her there later on as Martha, you kind of think, is that Martha Jones back in that episode? But she wasn't. She actually played a totally different character, not Martha at all.
Yeah, and I must admit, I know that they did address it in Smith and Jones, where that was that one line where Martha says to the doctor, "I had a cousin, Adiola, who
Yeah,
died during the Battle of Canary Wharf." But I feel they could have done something to maybe differentiate Martha and her cousin a bit more, maybe like short hair or something, or a scar, or something a bit different, just to like so you can visibly see that it is another character. But even still, like maybe make that line just like a bit more prominent, because even in the scene it was in, because obviously it's the scene where they're out on the balcony and it's completely dead silent,
yeah,
because obviously space has no sound. But even that, I feel like they could have just like addressed the point more, so that, because I feel like it's very easy to miss and go, so is this the same person we just saw, or is it a new person? And just very easy to get lost and confused.
that's right. That's right. But it's very exciting. Lots of exciting. I think the future's got Doctor Who is in good hands.
Mm.
I think very interesting. Um, um, but before we finish, Scott, is there a quote that you relate to at all in Doctor Who,
Um,
or your favourite?
my favourite would have to be from the 11th Hour, Matt Smith, who will always be my doctor. It would have to be all of time and all of space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
Okay,
Would be my
yeah,
favourite.
yeah. That is a great one because I, I I always love it. That's how he started his kind of journey in the TARDIS. That kind of line. And I love Matt because me watching David Tennant leave, I was very sad. But and then when Matt Smith kind of, he was very under a lot of pressure. I think. I think
Mm.
also for any of the doctors. In my opinion, um, uh, n- I think everyone has their pressure though when you're the doctor. Especially Crystal Eccleston because he's the one who kind of started it off.
Yeah, I can't
It,
imagine the pressure he
yeah,
must have been under
yeah,
to
yeah,
start the show again and to
yeah.
reboot it. Like, hats off to the man, and thank you so much.
Yeah, if he didn't, um, because like I understand what he says as well, because he says people sometimes complain that he only did one series, and that was the reasons that he had why he he left. But like
Mm.
I like what he says all the time when he says that you should everyone should appreciate that he did the season because if he didn't, it wouldn't have been the way it was. But like I think he had a lot of pressure, but Matt Smith definitely did as well. I know David Tennant did, but I guess he had it a bit easier because he was just following Christopher Eccleston's footsteps to start off, but then he was really good. Maybe David Tennant didn't realise how good he was going to be in Doctor Who, and then he left. He didn't want to go, but I don't think he literally didn't want to go. But and then Matt Smith comes along, and then you think, is he going to be? is he going to be good? Like, is he going to be as much as I liked David? But he was, in my opinion. Everyone has their opinion, of course, but I thought he, especially from the first episode, was very good.
Truly, I think that my favorite thing about Matt Smith's Doctor is that in the 11th hour, he's instantly like the Doctor. Like, although he's just regenerated and in raggedy clothes, you know that this is the Doctor and he's trying to sort something out and he's trying to help people. And I completely agree with you that Matt Smith had a lot of pressure following David Tennant, but honestly, I definitely agree that I would say honestly, I would say maybe Matt Smith and Peter Davidson had it the hardest following the truly like I guess you'd call them the best of their sort of like old and new Who. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion on who is the best Doctor, but
Of
like
course.
the fourth Doctor was obviously iconic for classic Who. So following that role must have been extremely, extremely stressful
He did it for
because
the
you,
longest as well.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you just want to be able to continue it. Like if I was in Peter Davidson's era, like if I was in his shoes, honestly, I wouldn't even be focused on trying to beat or be better. I would just want to try and live up to the Doctor before me and
Yeah.
just try and give the fans and everyone else the best show that I possibly could.
That's all you can do, and like it is great to see doctors doing that. But one last question: um, would you like to see the next Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, have more than 3 series, or do you think that's enough for a Doctor?
I think 3 series is enough for a Doctor, but I would always, always be open to more Doctor Who. And I truly do think that the more seasons you give a Doctor would obviously give you more of a chance to explore their character, explore their regeneration, their adventures, and their sort of perceptions and things. And it would hurt so much more when they left because you'd feel so much more attached and connected with them because you'd been through so much more with them. So I would like to see maybe an extra season just to see if maybe 4 seasons is too long or if it's not enough. I don't know. I guess it would be one of those things that you'd kind of have to play around with and experiment with.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, thank you, Scott. It's been great speaking to you today. I I wish you all the best about the process of getting diagnosed with autism. You have to let me know how that goes. Like
Will do, definitely.
um but yeah, it's been great speaking to you about Doctor Autism as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for having me on.
Definitely, it's been great fun. And yeah, so thanks again, Scott, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you.